Greetings, friends. I've got some new important developments that demand your attention. After his success in the Middle East, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is now publicly calling on the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to bring peace to Ukraine as well. Friedrich Merz added that he intends to use the opportunity today to once again discuss with the American president what they can do together to end this war. That's exactly how he put it, because for Europeans, a war in Europe is the greatest threat to freedom, as the German Chancellor emphasized. So, we're watching closely. Were these just the usual empty words, a game for the public, or will Chancellor Merz soon announce a new, clear plan? For now, the intrigue is immense, and it's holding. I need to tell you, I once had a seat inside one of those big, well-known media organizations. I saw firsthand how the real story was bent and broken to fit a pre-approved narrative, and I just had to walk away. Now, I'm independent, I answer to no one but you, and I'm here to tell you what's really going on. If you believe in that mission, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you can, consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support is what keeps this truth-telling alive. It means the world to me. Meanwhile, over in France, President Emmanuel Macron continues to astonish the world and naturally irritate the majority of French citizens. Emmanuel Macron announced that he will continue to perform his duties to ensure stability in the country. With this statement, he openly ignored the opposition's calls for his resignation amidst the escalating political crisis that, as you know, France has been facing lately. Macron also declared, and I quote, "Never forget that the mandate given by the French people is to serve, serve, and serve again, to provide answers for ordinary French people, and to do everything possible for the independence of France. Therefore, as the French president stressed, he will remain at his post to ensure stability." What a turn of events! And who did Macron blame for the political crisis? Without naming specific parties or individuals, he pointed to political forces that were playing to destabilize Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu. He said they are the ones solely responsible for the chaos. In turn, the unexpectedly reappointed Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has already presented a new cabinet aiming to end the country's political crisis. Among the 34 members of the new government are many names that are barely known even within France. Many French citizens don't recognize them. Today also marks the deadline, please note, for submitting the budget for the upcoming 2026 fiscal year. Lecornu is under enormous pressure right now. If the budget draft fails in Parliament again, he hasn't ruled out resigning once more. How long this new government will last is anyone's guess. President Emmanuel Macron, whose term expires in 2027, has no parliamentary majority. The opposition, as before, is demanding early elections and the president's resignation. And right at this moment, Macron has jetted off to Egypt to participate in the signing ceremony for the Gaza peace plan. Meanwhile, back in Paris, his government is fighting for its very survival, and Prime Minister Lecornu, in his own words, is trying to save the country from political collapse. And if he fails, he will, of course, resign yet again. It's a political storm, and France is right in the middle of it. If you're finding this analysis valuable, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe. At the same time, the French Financial Prosecutor's Office has informed former French President Nicolas Sarkozy which prison he must report to and when, following his 5-year sentence for criminal conspiracy related to using funds from a once prosperous Libya to finance his victorious 2007 election campaign. They haven't forgotten about that. For security reasons, Sarkozy is expected to be held in conditions reserved for high-profile inmates, possibly in a special VIP area of a Paris prison that houses some of France's most notorious criminals. After his incarceration, the 70-year-old will be able to apply for release to an appellate court, and the judges will have up to 2 months to consider the request. So, we'll be watching to see what happens there. Meanwhile, Amsterdam is recovering from another protest against immigration that took place yesterday, causing the usual disturbances and consequently mass arrests. According to local media, protesters set off fireworks, chanted slogans against illegal migration, and damaged public property, leading to numerous arrests. These protests are happening as the Netherlands is set for snap elections on October 29th, after the ruling government collapsed over disagreements on migration policy, triggered by the withdrawal of ministers by the leader of the right-wing Freedom Party, Geert Wilders, who now claims to be in danger himself. And while that's happening, 2 eco-activists from a far-left group in Madrid went and threw red paint on a painting of Christopher Columbus. They were protesting the national holiday on October 12th, the Day of the Spanish Nation, which commemorates the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus. The activists argued that the holiday, in their view, glorifies colonialism and centuries of oppression of indigenous peoples in Latin America. They wanted to show that honoring Columbus isn't just about discovering a new world, but also about the beginning of a very harsh exploitation that enriched certain figures. Museum guards managed to prevent further damage to the valuable painting and detained the women until the police arrived. After a brief interrogation, the activists were finally arrested. It's been stated that the red paint seeped into cracks in the painting and the canvas, and the varnish and the water-sensitive gilded frame were also damaged. Experts believe the damage is enormous. Now, for what is arguably the most talked about and for so many people the most joyful news of all, the arrival of peace. In Israel, people are crying, but now they are tears of joy and relief. Tears of joy are the best thing that can happen after 2 years and 6 days since the horrific invasion. The last 20 living hostages have finally been released and can embrace their loved ones who waited and hoped and believed in their return all this time. Today, on a square in Tel Aviv, there was a level of joy that simply cannot be put into words. On the beach in Tel Aviv, a huge banner was even installed with thanks to US President Donald Trump, positioned so it could be seen from airplanes on approach. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, greeted the American president and later presented Donald Trump with a statuette of a golden dove of peace. Trump also held a meeting with the families of the hostages and listened to their stories. And when Donald Trump arrived in the Knesset plenum hall to give a speech, he was met with a thunderous, prolonged standing ovation. In turn, the Speaker of the Israeli Knesset declared to Donald Trump that he deserves the highest recognition for his efforts in promoting peace. And he, along with Speaker Mike Johnson, will address all the world's parliaments to submit an application for Donald Trump to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. "There is no one but you who truly deserves this award," was the declaration made to the entire world. So, it seems very likely that next year Donald Trump will receive the Peace Prize. In turn, Donald Trump promised to stand with Israel to the very end. The US president's speech in the Israeli parliament lasted over an hour and was constantly interrupted by long applause. In his concluding words, Trump called Israel the spiritual and geographical center of the entire world and added that hope, harmony, opportunity, and happiness await us here. That was his statement. It's also worth adding that Donald Trump, during his speech, said he would like to conclude a peace agreement with Iran, but only after the issue with Russia is resolved. Speaking in the Israeli parliament, Trump stated that after the end of the war in the Gaza sector, he plans to focus entirely on ending the war in Ukraine. So we're watching, and there's huge intrigue there as well. And on an interesting side note from the American president, Donald Trump refused to allow a journalist from a very well-known publication, a favorite of the European Commission, by the way, to ask a question on board the plane, as is customary. He called the publication Politico fake news. Trump asked, "Who are you with?" The journalist replied, "With Politico. My name is Dasha Burns." Trump responded, "Dasha, Politico. Politico has gone bad. They were wrong about everything. Let's have someone else ask questions. You don't mind, do you? Because Politico is fake news." Just like that, the American president cut them off. Now, the reputation of this once popular outlet is tarnished. It's gone. And those are the key informational moments for today, for right now, and they speak volumes. Let me quickly recap what we've covered. We've seen the German Chancellor calling on Trump to bring peace to Ukraine. In France, Macron is clinging to power amid a political crisis, while his predecessor Sarkozy is heading to prison. We've witnessed protests and arrests in Amsterdam over immigration. And of course, the monumental news out of Israel, with the final hostages freed and President Trump being hailed as a peacemaker, even being positioned for a Nobel Peace Prize. Write your opinion in the comments. Let me know what you think about everything that's happening. Thank you for joining me. If you value this independent perspective, please support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and if you can, becoming a sponsor. It's your support that makes all of this possible. I wish you a peaceful sky, and I'll see you tomorrow.